I'll call the Ascension Parish Council meeting for Thursday, April 2nd, 2009 to order. Our invocation tonight will be led by Mayor Leroy Sullivan of Donaldsonville.
Father God, as always, we come thanking you for your many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. Father God, we want to thank you for being God all by yourself. Father God, we ask that you please, Lord, to just bless each and every one that's here tonight. Father God, we ask you to please, Lord, to just touch each councilman that's here. Father God, that they may make decisions not just good for their district, but which is good for Ascension Parish as a whole. And Father God, we always ask that you please, Lord, to allow the decisions to be done decently and in order. These and all blessings we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mayor. Our pledge tonight will be led by Fire Chief Chuck Montero. Chief?
Thank you, gentlemen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Roll call, Ms. Susanna, all present. I don't have any chair additions, emergency items. Public comment period. Anyone wish to speak on any item on the agenda, please sign in with Ms. Susanna. You will be allowed 3 minutes. Item 5, we have our presentations. Item A, Child Abuse Prevention Month. President Martinez.
Yes, I'd like to call Stephanie Breeden to the front. Hey, Stephanie. Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana proclamation to proclaim National Child Abuse Prevention Month in Ascension Parish. Whereas child abuse and neglect is a problem, the solution for which is the involvement of people throughout the community, and whereas child maltreatment occurs when people find themselves in stressful situations without community resources and unsure of how to cope with these challenges. And whereas the majority of child abuse cases stem from situations and conditions that are preventable in an engaged and supportive community, and whereas child abuse and neglect not only directly harm children, but also increase the likelihood of future criminal behavior, substance abuse, health problems such as heart disease and obesity, and risk behavior such as smoking, and whereas all citizens should become involved in supporting families and raising their children in a safe, nurturing environment, and whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships created among social service agencies, schools, faith communities, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. And whereas the month of April is hereby proclaimed to be Child Abuse Prevention Month in Ascension Parish, Louisiana, and the people of our parish are urged to actively participate in the care and protection of our children. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, I, Tommy Martinez, President of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, do hereunto set my official signature and have cause to proclaim April 2009 as National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Stephanie, say a few words.
As many know, there are so many children in our parish that I think a lot of us forget about that are abused and neglected every single day. And part of what our agency does is to make sure that people know that it's happening, that there is something that people can do about it. And it's been proclaimed as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Ascension Parish and all over the nation so that we may continue to bring that awareness to our communities. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Some here for each of you if you'd like to wear one throughout the month of April to bring awareness.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have recognition of Ms. Jessie Joseph, the APEL Associated Professional Educator of Louisiana, 2009, Lowry Intermediate School Volunteer of the Year.
Joseph? I think Ms. Joseph's also been named Volunteer of the Year in all the schools in Ascension Parish. So let's give her a big hand. certificate of recognition Ascension Parish presents to 2009 Lowry Intermediate School Volunteer of the Year, Ms. Jessie Joseph. It is an honor to present this certificate to you in celebration of the 2009 Lowry Intermediate School Volunteer of the Year Award. You're an asset to our community, and Ascension Parish is very proud and wishes you continued success. And again, we want to also congratulate you for being 12 people from each school, and then overall you won the award.
Yes.
Well, we are proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And would you like to
I just would like to thank you for this honor, and I would also say that I enjoy working in the schools because I've had 34 years as a librarian, and I am back with Miss Dorsey, and working with the children, it's a great honor. It gives me a feeling of importance with the children and to see them interact with me. I am so honored that the parish has selected me, and I'll do my best. And one other thing you might not know, I am the self-appointed governor of the state of Modeste, Louisiana.
I don't know.
So this must be good to be the king. So this could be good for Mel Brooks.
Yeah. OJ. Is Ms. Joseph any kin to you? Okay. No, I mean, okay, next we have Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office Deputy of the Year, Mr. Dwight Wright.
Congratulations. Okay, we have a certificate of recognition. Ascension Parish presents to Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office Deputy of the Year, Mr. Dwight Wright. It is an honor to present this certificate to you in celebration of you being named Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office Deputy of the Year. You're an asset to our community, and Ascension Parish is very proud and wishes you continued success. Dwight, congratulations on behalf of myself and the parish council, and I'd like to have you say a few words, and we're proud of you. We know the streets are safe because of you.
Okay, sir. Next is our parish president report. Before President Martinez, before you speak, I do have a speaker. Maybe I don't. President Martinez, I'm sorry, your report, please.
No one signed up to speak on this? Okay, I just want to make sure. Archie, who's going to come up and give the report? You? So you are speaking, you should sign up?
I'm the speaker.
Good. Good to see you. Last meeting, y'all had asked for an update, and I think it's time. So I think we have a few representatives. If you want to go ahead and introduce them.
See, everybody can hear me, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for letting me come here tonight. My name is Hugh Caffrey. I'm the chairman of the Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District, and I wanted to introduce a few of my colleagues. First of all, Mr. Gene Harrell, who is a vice chairman of the Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District. I want to introduce Mr. Larry Dugas, Both of them are from here, from the Donaldsonville community. Larry's a commissioner as well. And Mr. Ron and Nima John is here. He's another commissioner. Mr. Archie Chasson is our executive director. And tonight we have Mr. Robert Routon, who is the liaison to the Office of Coastal Protection and Restoration and liaison for this project. So I have here some handouts, the text of my report I'd like to pass out, and you'll have in writing what I'm about to say. I'm going to paraphrase it all, not read it verbatim, put anybody to sleep, but it is my intention to give you a status report tonight of this project. We have a short film, and that will be to give you an idea of what it looks like, and a similar project now going on in Houma on Little Bayou Black, a project that was started 3 or 4 months ago and is near completion. It's a smaller project, but has the components of this project, and you'll see what it looks like and the machinery and how it's done. So we're going to show that. I want to start off by saying that I realize this has been talked about for over 15 years, that it's been a long time in coming. And so I just wanted to review quickly with you without being redundant, because I know you've heard talked about this, and you know about the project. But it's a partnership. This current project, which came out of all the discussions in the past, is a project partnership between the Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District, who are 8 citizen volunteers, commissioners, and the State Office of Coastal Protection and Restoration, an office of the governor. The district, the Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District, has the necessary permits for this project from the Corps of Engineers, allowing us to dredge. So therefore, we are the lead partner in this partnership because we own the permit. And the state OCPR is providing the necessary legal, engineering, and financial resources. The project has been estimated to cost by the engineer $20 million. That estimate's a little old now, but it's expected to cost $20 million. That may, we hope, come down, but we'll see. The reason for the project is in my third paragraph there, is that this bayou gives water to over 300,000 residents. The homes, their homes, businesses, and Port Fourchon all along Donaldsonville to Leeville. It's critical that this bayou have more water. If we don't do something in our time, this bayou will turn into a putrid ditch, the likes of which you can see outside of the town I live in, Thibodaux. Between Thibodaux and Houma, there was a Bayou Terrebonne, which used to be a connection with Bayou Lafourche. It used to be part of the whole riverine system. Now it's been cut off, and the flow is very minimal, and it's a stinky ditch, which was once a beautiful bayou. The hurricane we had last, what was it, August, September, that caused a real emergency kind of root canal, analogy that we quickly understood what the future could be like, because it put trees and vegetation, all decaying vegetation in the bayou, and made our water putrid for some time. And all the drinkers of the bayou quickly saw what might happen in their future if we don't do something. So it became a big emergency, and everybody was saying, let's get out there and do something. Well, of course, you can't get out there and do something for a $20 million project. It takes a little more planning, et cetera, and the planning wasn't finished. Well, it's just about finished. We've come to as I'm going to give you a timetable on page 2, we've come to about the end of the planning stage. And along with that, there were a lot of issues like where's state property? Is this project on it? Where's my property? If I live along the bayou, where's state property? Where is this project, on state property, and do we have the right to do it? To resolve those issues, we first entered this cooperative endeavor agreement, which is this partnership. Secondly, the governor gave us a commandeering order, which has said that the district has a right to do this project, regardless of the land ownership issues. We have the right authority to do this from the governor. So the next step was to finish the engineering and get the project footprint defined. And that's what we've really been doing this 3 months of this year, and come down to the project plans and specifications are nearly complete, and so that we had a footprint, we had that footprint surveyed and staked so that residents could see our matter of contention of where the project's going to be. They could see exactly where it was in their backyard. They could see the stakes. That staking and surveying was done and completed in January. And the next step we wanted to take is to go to the folks who have structures in the way of this project that have to be removed for the success of the channel, clearing, dredging. Those structures have to be removed. We wanted to go to those residents and talk to them and explain the project and explain why the structures have to be removed. And in order to do that, we needed help from the state to tell us what to say, how this, when the subject comes up of where the state property line is, what do we say? So, in order to proceed, we asked for and were given an advisory memorandum, which is short of a state attorney general's opinion, but almost that. And that advisory memorandum told us that the project, in the opinion of the Attorney General, is on state property, and told us that any structures that are removed, that are on that state property, are on state lands, and regardless of what permission they may have from Corps of Engineers or Department of Environmental Quality, etc., it nonetheless is on state property. And further than that, we cannot compensate people who have put those structures in, even fully permitted, for those structures. That it's on state land, as we're told, and against state law. It's against state law to compensate people for structures on state land that have to be removed. So, as hard a pill as that is to swallow for many of us, that's what we were told. That we have the authority to do the project, that the project is on state property, and the structures that have to come out cannot be replaced by state money. We then went to approximately 20 residents who were going to we tried to prioritize, go to the structures that were the most, in our view, kind of valuable, and most, perhaps, the residents who were most upset. We went to them first, and we talked to them and explained the need for the project, explained what we understood about the state position, Attorney General's position, and what we would do and why the line was where it was. We brought the engineer. I or one of my colleagues went, another commissioner, and the state representative from the OCPR. We all went to the house to spend an hour or two, whatever it took. So we've gone to about 20 of them. We just came from another one, Mr. Kirk Trepanier, and there are about 35 total that we want to go to, so there's about 14 others that we'd like to go to. And just listen to them. As a result of that, some changes have been made. Some points were brought out by those residents that were valid to the engineer that was there and us, and some changes have been made. So we're going to continue that process. But without further ado, I just want to give you in your mind, let you see a picture of what this project's really going to look like. Archie, if you will, since you took the photos.
Basically, this is a little suction hydraulic dredge. The cutter on the front basically sweeps side to side. This is a self-contained unit. What I mean by that is it's got the spuds. It can move on its own. It can mob and demob under bridges. The contractor tells me that he can put this down under a 5-foot clearance once the spuds are stripped off. This previous shot and this shot is a laser GPS system that helps guide the machinery. You'll see a shot of a little laptop computer in the captain's position, or whatever you want to control it, the control center. Basically, they have the engineered design inside the computer, and along with that and the GPS and laser system, it's just about fully automatic. It'll cut the design. It's not like the old-fashioned system where you had to guess. This is the laptop I was telling you about. The dredge project they're using now, they're pumping these sediments a total of about 2.5 to 3 miles further up on some vacant land. You'll see that in a little bit. Basically, like I said, this machine's self-contained. The cutter head here, once it's in operation, swings back and forth. Best description I can give you is a vacuum cleaner. That part on the right side of the screen spins, basically cuts. The pump sucks the water through a big tube inside that square arm that guy's standing on and ejects it out the back. Like I said, the machine can move back and forth across the channel to whatever width you need. It's got a cutting depth up to about 20 foot. On a good day, depending on how deep you're cutting, the contractor tells me this thing can move between 100 to 250, 300 foot a day, depending on the bottom, the width they cut and stuff like this.
We need to move 600,000 cubic yards, which is 3 feet of 300 acre. If you can imagine 300 acres, 3 feet deep, that's how much dirt we need to move.
What are you going to do with the dirt?
It'll come up in a minute to show you what they did. They've got these plastic pipes, some of them 20 feet long, that connect with flanges, and then they pump it to a levied site where the land they want to build up. Here, there's several sugarcane farms that could take that dirt, build a levee, and then pump it in there, and the water drains off, and you have the dirt. I think you got it in there later, huh?
Yes, sir. Discharge here. This shows a shot of the machine moving from side to side. The two front spuds, he lowers them, raises them up, puts the cutter head on the bottom, and the hydraulic shifts the machine back and forth. The rear spud is what they call a kicker spud. It's got a hydraulic hinge on it, where if he wants to push forward, he lifts the two front ones up, and he walks it forward or backward with that hydraulic ram on that spud, pushing or pulling the machinery. Very simple, effective operation. Like you said, it's a 10-inch discharge on the back. They're using a polypropylene lightweight pipe. They're laying it in the center of the channel they cut. When they go to move, they just add on another 150-foot piece at the rear of the operation and kind of drag it along with the operation. Very quiet as compared to having amphibious excavators, drag lines. You can barely hear this thing over the traffic on the roadside next door.
I might want to fast forward it to that.
Tell me that.
It's sweeping back and forth. Those stakes would be something they're trying to avoid, most likely.
This is a boost. Now you're going to go full speed on me. That pump, the yellow engine that was sitting there is a booster pump. They're just using that to efficiently transfer it. He said he can put one about every 2 to 3 miles, depending on the amount of sediment they have in the water. This is a settling pond itself. It's a 70-acre site that they have set up. Once they let it dry out, I think it's a couple of year period before it dries out. They can either sell this soil off, or I think they're going to develop this property. If any of y'all are familiar with Homer, along Martin Luther King, back behind Office Depot and Home Depot and that new section, that's where they put all that sediment at, in that big open area.
We've also asked the Corps of Engineers to consider a permit to allow us to pump this back to the river where it came from. And that, they told us, would require special permit, maybe a public hearing, but they'd have to study the river to make sure that if it does go back right here or smoke bin all the way to our pumps, that it wouldn't cause a problem for navigation. So public hearing would be to give navigation time to be convinced, and we'd have to do a modeling, so engineering modeling to show that it wouldn't affect navigation. So that's another option we can use. And then, of course, during the excavating part of the, this is really to remove the sediment that's in the water now, but the slopes and the design of the slopes would be done or manicured with a shoveled excavator. And they may just shovel it into the middle and then come back and suck it up. But removing of trees with a chainsaw or an excavator, sloping the bank or pulling out structures, etc., would be other machinery on barges. And they make those barges, as you've probably seen them, that are put together like big Legos that they can go into bridges with them, put them together, and then drive an excavator. Or you have a crane, put an excavator on them. We're not going to dictate to the contractor how they're going to do it, but we want to make it clear that we know different ways that are practical to be done. And to date, we've gotten 24 contractors of what we consider to be competent to do this, show interest in the project with all their names and contact, and we've sent out periodic updates and information. We are actually, this is the project timeline that's changed. 3 April is tomorrow, so that I gave you an update of that in your handout, which is just that we've asked for another week for our board to look at the plans and specs from the engineer CH2M Hill. And then, so it adds a week up until the 27th of, the 24th of April, where we expect 24th of April to have final bid documents be ready to go, and 27th of April to be able to advertise for bids. It's a 30-day process, which would put us, well, we'd have a pre-bid on May 11th, and the 27th of May we'd open bids, and with MOB and pre-construction conferences, that would have an award about the 10th of June, with this project beginning in July. That's the current timetable. It may move up or down a little bit. There are a couple of open issues I wanted to make mention of. One, first of all, we pump more water. The whole idea is just to pump more water, which we can pump now only 2 pumps, about 150 CFS, or cubic feet per second. But we have 2 other pumps, so the idea of this project is to use all the pumping capacity we have. When we do, that's going to mean more wear and tear on the pumps. Maybe down the road, more water means more sediment that we have to eventually dredge out. And who's going to pay for that? Because we're running probably a lot like y'all, about max on our budget. We spend what we take in. So where's the extra money going to come from? In talking to the state, you say, well, that's a problem with all levee districts. And the more levees we put in, post-Katrina, there's more levees to come in. There's going to be more O&M needs, and we're just going to have to do the best we can. Whether the state's going to help us support this project, or we're going to have to ask for more funding for the public, or just what. But that's was our concern, is our concern. And finally, particularly, your parish president Tommy Martinez brought up this issue that we've been talking to him about, and that's post-project sloughing. Will the bank slough after this project is done? And if it does, who's responsible? If it sloughs off on state land, that's one thing, but if it sloughs off and threatens private property, houses, swimming pools, sheds, dog pens, whatever, if it threatens foundations, who's responsible? The answer is this. We've spent a lot of time and money using the best engineering possible. Geotechnical borings were made all down this 6.2 miles, and the soil stability studied, and CH2M Hill, competent engineer company, have put together a plan to make these slopes as stable as possible, knowing the exact dirt that we have to deal with. So we're using the best engineering science we can, number one. Number two, if it does happen, we're going to have to take it on a case by case. If it happens 5 days after the project, it seems to me obvious that it's the project engineer or contractor or ultimately us or the state is responsible. And what's the damage and what do we do to repair? That'd be that case, you know. If it happens 5 years later, it may have nothing to do with this project. So that's my answer, you know, as it stands today. With that, I think it concludes. Mr. Harrell or Dugas, would you like to make any other? Ron? Robert? Or Archie? Okay. Well, I certainly appreciate your time. In the interest of that, if there are any questions, I'd love to address them.
Councilman Joseph?
Yes. Yes, sir. You said if it was within 5 years. So basically, I guess you're going to get a document that say that a timeline that you're guaranteed if something happened, you would fix it. Otherwise, you're saying right now, you're assuming if it happened 5 years from now, that would probably be on the owner. But that is not a guarantee right now. You don't know if it's a year guarantee or a 2-year guarantee or a 3-year guarantee. That's what you're saying. You're just taking them case.
Yeah, I was trying to make an example, Councilman, that using 5 years just as an example of that's way far in time, and it probably is unrelated to what we did today this year. But there's no guarantees being offered. What I'm saying is we're not going anywhere. We're the Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District. We're doing this project. If a resident has a problem and it's in proximity and time close to the project, it's likely that we did it. You know, we caused the problem, so we're responsible, and we need to be held accountable. Just like you guys, you aren't giving any guarantees to anybody, but you show up at meetings, you're responsible gentlemen and ladies, and somebody comes here with a legitimate complaint, you're going to, I would assume you're going to address it in every way you can, make it right, and that's the way we'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions for Mr. Caffrey? Councilman Shea-Snyder.
Thank you. We appreciate the report. Certainly, there's a lot of effort that's going into this. We appreciate that. It's been my experience fooling with these things that best engineered practices are very good, but they're still subject to having some problems. And as you had said, monetarily, you're not only able to operate and maintain. My question is, if there is some problems, then how are you going to go about paying for them if there is some damages done? Somewhere along the line with this big project, there's going to be some problems. I mean, in any and all projects. One of the things that they were talking to us when they initially started this project was that they had a group of funding for that and continuous funding after that point, because that was a lot of the residents' concern. And now you're telling us that they're going to rely on Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District's funds, which is limited at best, and so therefore we're basically back to what we had before, which was very, very limited assistance, and because you're not able to financially. So what recourse would a homeowner have if he does have some problems, even if it is the state's fault? So
there are 4 parties involved. There's a Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District. There's a State Office of Coastal Protection and Restoration. There is the contractor who did, let's assume, did the work. And then there's an engineer who specified the work and inspected the work. So in a hypothetical example, you have to tell me what was the problem. You know, we're talking hypothetical. So describe to me what's the problem, what's the extent of it, what's the damage that problem caused. You know, no harm, no foul. We say that a lot. But if you want to describe a hypothetical situation in detail, I'd be glad to express to you my view of who's responsible, who could potentially be responsible, and who this landholder should look to for repair and the damages was caused to he or she.
Okay. So basically what you're saying is you're relying on engineered plans for that, and so basically it would end up coming back to the engineer if it didn't work.
If it was designed a certain way, let's say a certain slope, and they didn't put it that way, the slope where it was more drastic, and that's usually what causes sloughing, is the slope is too steep and the soils can't stay there, so they fall. If we find out, that's easy to measure, if we find out the slope was improper, and I'd say two parties in that case, your inspector, who's the engineer, and your contractor, who was pledged to do it as it was designed. So it wasn't done as designed, and it wasn't certified by the engineer. So we, and I was saying this is Port, a friend of ours manages the Port Fouchon. They have a problem there. This is much more drastic, but gives you an illustration. They wanted to extend their bulkhead. So they had an engineer design it and a contractor put it in. And it's a bulkhead with tiebacks, with nuts on the end of the tiebacks at the sheet pile. Well, all of a sudden, a couple years later, the nuts start popping off and the sheet pile buckles. The port director looks at the engineer and says, "Oh, what happened?" So the engineer is paying $600,000 right now to pay for that, to repair that. And that's a drastic example, but it's a similar thing. They can't afford to let that go because his whole bulkhead is going to cave in, and the tenants that they have at that port are going to lose assets. So in this case, in our hypothetical case between you and I, a resident has a house, a living structure. It starts to slough in. It's threatening his house, or has threatened, or let's say the house begins to cave in. We need to look and see what caused that. And
well, and I guess my question is to demonstrate that it is going to be a complicated issue, and I just hope that you would implement some sort of mechanism for people to file their complaints, that they would be heard, and there would be some manner that something would happen where they could find out, because it is a complicated thing, and people could just be ruined financially trying to get a lawyer trying to find out
who's on first.
Right.
We'll have a plan and spec document, which will be a public record. So they can, first of all, go to their house and look at that. And there's a lot of cross-sections. In fact, anybody brought the documents? But anyway, we have and can supply them to y'all. They're large satellite pictures showing houses in a pretty good scale, and then slopes.
Yeah.
So it can easily be shown or seen by a resident whether or not that was done to that spec. I mean, with a little effort, they can find that out. So,
thank you.
Any more discussion? President Martinez.
I just want to thank you and Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District. I know this has been a tough ordeal. It's going to be tough as time goes on. I just think it would be remiss if I didn't say that, this is a lot for these residents to swallow at one time. I don't think anybody's ever been put in that position where all of a sudden you own property and now you don't own property. The state comes in and claims that property. And so in some instances, I just want some sort of guarantee for these citizens that this happens this time, but down the road, I don't want this to happen again. I don't want them to come back and say, well, wait, now we own this part, Now we're going to come back and we're going to take your house, because we say this belongs to the state of Louisiana. So, you know, there should be some document, some finalized document. Once this project, as I said, the residents of Ascension Parish are going to bear the brunt of this. And we're going to take care of everyone down the bayou, which is okay. You know, prior to there being locks here and prior to there being a levee, it was free-flowing. And, you know, at that time, the water level was whatever it was in 1804. But since then,
you were just a young
and I was just born a few years. But, you know, that's what I need to, and I think that's what these residents want to hear. Okay, you're going to come in here, you're going to interrupt my life, you're going to take my property, you're going to not compensate me for it, you're going to be nice and come talk to me, but don't come back 4 years from now, 5 years, oh, wait, we need to come back. All right, now we own your house. Okay, now move out, we can't compensate you. That's not right. I think this is America, and, you know, we have to look at it this way. And if I'd like to see one thing happen through all this, you and with the Bayou Lafourche, and I'll be glad to sit in on any meetings, is to assure these citizens that this is the extent of this project, that we're not coming back. And if we go down the bayou, that we're going to treat all people in all parishes the same way that we're treating them in Ascension Parish as far as property rights. And that's what I think needs to happen.
Well, I don't know if you want me to respond.
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay. One thing about coming back.
Yes.
If we have another phase to this project in mind, that is the state, speaking now as a state body, Mr. Rutan's here, well, all we can do is 300 to 400 CFS now, and with the pump station we have now. But if we have another opportunity to come in with another phase and a bunch of money to get a new pump station, if any of you are familiar with Davis Pond, my area, Davis Pond is almost an open gate, comes from the river, bless you, comes from the river and goes to Lake Catawatchee. That's what's being envisioned here. But the most that could ever, the current project would allow for this phase to flow 1,000 CFS, which is about, what, 8 times what the bayou is doing now. And that project has been modeled, and the elevation of the water would be very close to where it is now, 6 inches to a foot, maybe higher. And so even in the wildest dreams of what this is called the diversion project, because it's diverting the fresh water, river water, to the coast that needs it to survive, to be alive, and to protect from the Gulf coming out. So this is called a diversion project. In the wildest dreams, realism now has come 14 years later. The wildest dreams, this 2,000 CFS possibility would require us to deepen this project channel from the 60-foot bottom that we'll have below the railroad bridge to the Belrose Bridge. But that 60-foot bottom will have to be deepened. And let me explain. The 1,000-foot CFS, which with a new pump station would allow us to put 8 times more water, would not raise the elevation of the water, would not ask for any more land from these residents. And even the 2,000 CFS, what we would do is we'd dig deeper, would not ask for any more land. I'm fully agreeing with what Mr. President is saying, and feel, you know, I've been talking to these folks. I've gone to their houses. I feel they have a little piece of heaven. And I tell a lot of them, you guys don't know. You got a little piece of heaven. My wife would just, I won't say kill, but she'd love to have a place like this. And yeah, I can understand you don't want any disturbance in it. But what you're saying about disturbing it further is a very legitimate. You give them a little bit now, give them your hand, and they want your arm. Before you know it, they're at your home. I see that that's not even anywhere possible in the discussions that we've ever had. That they need more. That they're going to need so much more that's going to be in people's homes. They've gone to a lot of efforts to, in the cases where there's a living structure, to steepen the slopes and put riprap so that if you see the bayous like this now, what we have to do is this. to increase the channel? Well, in places where my fingertips are close to a structure where people are living in, they've done this to bring it out and then put riprap here to shore up that the foundation of that slope so as not to get close to a living structure. We're going to a lot of effort and money to do that. And that's so that we don't want this project to be any wider than it has to be. I can't see it, that the state would come out and say, okay, now we want way much more. But I don't think there's any guarantee you can have except that state-private boundary be determined. It's beyond the Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District to do that part, but it's certainly not beyond you gentlemen and other political bodies to ask for that. Our job in the district, as I see it, is to get the water to the people. And to do that, we need this channel. We have the funds available. It's an urgently needed project. The land question is outside of our responsibility, but I certainly understand, as an American, I totally agree with you. So sorry for being long-winded, but it's a very legitimate point.
Councilman Thompson?
Yes, I have one question for you. You said that the state will not be responsible for any structure that's in their right-of-way that's there now. Suppose residents took their hard-earned money to put bulkheads behind their houses. Will the state replace their bulkheads?
If it's on state property, they won't.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Thank you, Mr. Caffrey.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next, we'll move to item 7, consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. 6B.
I think the next thing I have is the 2010 census and reapportionment. First part of that would be to ask you to support a resolution that would support the Census Bureau. I don't know if y'all need me to read this thing, but it's in your package. But it's a resolution affirming support of and partnership with the 2010 census. You want to read it?
I have a motion by Chris Lohr.
Second.
Second by Councilman Dennis Cullen. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries.
The second part of that is just kind of start discussion. 2010 is coming up with the reapportionment. Need to start thinking about hiring a firm to help us with our reapportionment. So if you would like, we will start looking at that and put it on the agenda at a later date. But again, I don't think it's too early to start doing that. So if it's okay with you, I'll just go ahead and do it, and I'll put it later, maybe next month, and go ahead and put it on the agenda, and maybe we'll put out for bids or whatever we're going to do.
Yes, sir. I believe everybody's in agreement.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Yeah, Mr. President, I was looking through the Donaldsonville Council on Aging building. Would you have anyone to give us a quick update of where we Miss Shake Schneider called me earlier today. She's out sick. I think there was still some leakage problem.
Oh, yeah. The Council on Aging building is in quite a condition. What we've done is we are procuring architectural services because the cost of the internal repairs now, because the roof repairs have been completed, have been estimated at almost $200,000. We've done some mold remediation in the building and determined that there are spots where there is mold, but not as extensive as we once thought. So now we need to get architectural estimates to bid the building out. We are also pursuing a FEMA claim for that which is not covered by insurance. We were covered after the first $100,000 of coverage for insurance coverage for the building. So this estimate now exceeds the insurance coverage by approximately $100,000. So we're preparing an architectural contract to bring to you, and at that point I've already authorized them to go and do some initial preliminary work that we needed to do to investigate how bad it was, and I would have that for you at the next council meeting.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Councilman Joseph.
Mr. Dempsey, I just want to ask you, the question you was asked that Ms. Shakes now called you and say they still had leakage in the building, or?
Yeah, the recent rain event they had some leakage from the new roof that was installed.
Because it hasn't been accepted yet.
Okay.
The roof has not been accepted.
Yeah, she. I don't have a problem with that.
No, sir. Mr. Gotro?
The metal roof has been installed. There was a recent rain where there was the contractor that I hired to install the metal roof went out. There were some closures that hadn't come in that hadn't been put in place. We were aware of it. He was out this past Monday, put those closures in. If there's been a leak in this past rain from this week, I hadn't been informed about it, but at this present time, we've taken care of the previous incident. And I told him if there's any leaks, please contact me, and we'll address them right away. I think we've addressed those. So I don't know if she's talking about, the current roof. I think it's been addressed, but if they've not, someone please call me, and we'll address them immediately.
We appreciate that, and I think we're headed in the right direction. Just keep it on the agenda until we get a little more closure on this.
Okay, sir. Any more discussion? Okay, sir. Thank you. Next, we'll move to our consent agenda. Items A through I. Look them over, and I'll need a motion, please.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Dennis Cullen. Second by Councilman Chris Lower. Any discussion? Councilman Valentine.
You said this was A through I?
A through D. Then, that's 1 through 12. Yeah, A through I.
H. I have I.
I have I. I'm sorry.
You didn't get it updated. It's updated.
Okay.
I is only to adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting of March 12th.
Yep.
If you're missing
I'm
I.
concerned with pulling out F and discussing that final council financial approval process.
That's fine. It's G on us.
What's that?
It's G on some of them.
G on some? Okay.
It's an F on mine. So.
I've got it. F, Parish Council Financial Approval Process.
I'd like to move, substitute motion to move the consent agenda except for F so we can discuss it.
Okay, we have a substitute motion. Approve the consent agenda with the exception of F. Pull F out. I've got a second by, who was that? Councilman Lambert. Any discussion? Any objection? Consent agenda passes. We will pull F out. I'll need a motion for F.
Make that motion.
Motion by Councilman Lower.
I second.
Second by Councilman Shakespeare. Any discussion?
Yes, Chairman.
Councilman Valentine.
Thank you, Chairman Bell. Mr. Grant, I think you had requested this from the administration. And what the basis of this is, as I understand it, and I do apologize, I was working that last finance meeting. The basis for this was to move the approval from $10,000 to $50,000.
That's what the first item is, yes, sir.
And what I asked it, Mr. Lambert was actually the only gentleman I asked about it. He said that we really, I guess what I'm looking for is a scenario where this would come into play. I mean, the legislative body is checks and balances.
Yes, sir.
Essentially, 10,000 has been there for a while. Certainly, it may need to be increased, but I don't know if we need to go from 10,000 to 50,000. I guess my question would be, give me an example of where that might come into play, where something that's that much money has to be approved before we actually have another meeting.
Well, sir, if you look at it, what I'm suggesting here is 50,000 within the budget. You have already adopted the budget, and I'm just trying to be efficient and move the governor along.
Well, I'm still looking for another example. I mean, if it's in the budget, we have budget meetings. We have time to discuss budget meetings. If it's an impact, we got a process set up where it goes through finance for an impact. I mean, I still don't understand the reasoning behind moving from $10,000 to $50,000.
Well, and I'll give you the same reasoning I gave at the Finance Committee. This is a $100 million enterprise, and a $10,000 doing this on $10,000 increments is very burdensome to the government. So I'm trying to get this to operate in an efficient way. So,
show me where it's burdensome. I'm not burdened with looking over something that really the legislative branch is in charge of approving budgets. If he comes in the budget, it doesn't matter whether it's 10, 20, or 30.
Where we're having a disconnect is that I'm suggesting it's already been approved. You have already adopted the budget. This is within the budget. Anything that wasn't budgeted, I am proposing that we put an ordinance in front of you and go through the entire ordinance process to adopt, no matter what the dollar figure is. I'm only trying to deal with what I've passed as a budget, operating within that document. This is not an unreasonable request, sir. I mean, we've already adopted a $100 million budget.
I understand that.
So you're telling me you now need to reapprove what you've adopted. That's
why do I need this if I already approved it?
Sir?
Why do I need to move it from 10,000 to 50,000 if I've already approved it? I say the same thing for your reasoning. Maybe I'm missing something here. Somebody needs to. I don't understand. I really don't. I mean, if it's pre-approved, why are we moving it?
Because you now have a resolution in place that is in conflict with your other resolutions. You have a resolution in place that says that you need to approve any expenditure over $10,000 that the president signs. You also have a resolution in place that says you have to approve expenditures over $25,000. It has become very confusing and burdensome to manage that.
So the way we clear that up is just give him okay to approve $50,000.
Within the budget. Within the budget you've adopted.
Body. In essence, that's what it is?
Yes, that's what
Councilman Clewart.
Yeah, Mr. Valentine and Mr. Grant. I think what you had is at one time within this body that you had an approval was higher. At some point in the past, I think 8 years, it was lowered, and then it was changed. So what are you saying is, just to let people know, is we've got a budget. You've got line items on a budget that's already been approved.
Yes, sir.
And what you want is you want expenditure approval.
Yes, sir.
To expend of that money up to $50,000.
Yes, sir.
For the parish administration.
Yes, sir.
I think what was it in the last month or week or something, I think East Baton Rouge Parish it came up, and I think that's basically what that's the same amount they have. I think it's 50,000. I think in New Orleans, I think it's a little bit higher.
Any more discussion? Councilman Valentine.
I understand Cleward's point, but of course we're not East Baton Rouge Parish or New Orleans. And I do think that this legislative body is giving up some of this control by allowing parish residents to agree to a contract $50,000 away. And that's why I want to pull it out. But I really think that it could create some problems down the road after something's approved and really have no recourse.
What you're saying is that now that we've answered your question,
well, I'm still not for it.
that's fine. I'm just asking. You said that, that's all. What type of limit do you?
Currently, the same actions taken at the Drainage Board have no limit.
Councilman Thompson.
Yes. Why don't we approve it, and it has to come back to the council? Why don't we just pass it where we come back to the council and not go to any committees or anything? the council approve it, we meet every couple of weeks. And we can make the motion to approve it and not put it to any committee. Just come directly to the council.
Councilman, I'm fine with that, but what I guess what's not clear to me is that I have proposed a series of measures here to make this more efficient, one of which is to report every contract signed per month, which could easily be in that format to come to you for approval. Okay, but all I was suggesting is that those things that we have already budgeted and gone through an extensive budget process would meet that 50,000 test, and anything that was not appropriated or budgeted would come to you in the form of a budget ordinance. Currently, what happens now is that you get a budget impact analysis which tells you if the money is available. I'm suggesting to you that we do a more extensive and transparent process that would have it be in the form of an ordinance and adopted as an ordinance to change the budget as that occurred.
In the past, it was higher, and we reduced it to 10 because of the contracts that kept coming in. It was just overbearing.
Well,
the contractor was just giving out.
As I said, in this process that I propose, there is a proposal to provide the council with a monthly report of contracts. If you want that in the form of a resolution for approval, I have no objection.
Resolution is non-binding anyway.
An ordinance, put it whatever way you want it. But right now, what you're doing is generally these agreements and budget impact analysis, not an ordinance.
I agree with Councilman Valentine.
Councilman Lower.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, any business, there's always going to be a struggle between efficient operations and spending controls, and I think we've done a good job. It hasn't been mentioned over the year on the finance side of really. I mean, every month it seems we've improved our financial reporting, making things more transparent. I mean, you can drill down within the accounts now at every meeting to what's being spent and what the percentage is over the budget and all that. So there's more transparency there. What's made me, Cedric and I have had a lot of conversations about this. Some of the things that have made me comfortable with it are what Mr. Grant has said about anything will be reported at the Finance Committee meeting. So if there's something that comes up that is questionable or you don't think is appropriate or what have you, if you're not okay with it, I mean, this can be highlighted and, you can bring that up. The other thing, too, is I think the 50,000 came in was because of 50,000 and above, we engaged in the qualification-based selection process. So with the matrix and all of the things that go along with making that as objective as possible. So I think between these measures in place, phasing out all the master the task order contracts, I think that's where in the past with the parish. That's probably, I think, what Mr. Thompson's referring to as far as there are issues with administration doling out task order contracts and the council not being aware. I think there's controls in here and measures in these 8 steps here that make me comfortable with it, and that's why I'm going to support this.
Any more discussion?
Chairman.
Councilman Valentine.
Primarily, read the first sentence, guys. Change resolution allowing the parish president to execute professional services and engineering contracts. What's been most of the problems dealing with in the past, and that's why there's a limit on it. Doesn't matter, they got all these fail-safe items down here. He can still approve it if we approve this. He can prove it. Once it's approved, you can complain all you want.
Councilman Lambert.
Yeah, Mr. Grant, I see that, as far as in the budget, but, and when we put something in the budget, it's for professional services, it's not a line item for certain things, so it's generally in the budget. So that's why, like I said, we have ways of coming back to the council to approve it, if it's over $10,000.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, we approve the budget, that is correct. But it's in the general fund that we're going to use this much for professional services or engineering in this particular department.
Yes.
So it's not really itemized a line item each in the budget for this particular engineering firm or whatever, So I see where Mr. Valentine and Mr. Thompson's coming from on this, so I think we should leave it at the 10,000 mark.
Any more, Councilman Shakespeare?
Yeah, I've spoken with a couple other parish presidents and the councilmen, and their common practice is, you know, when I mentioned $50,000 was very fair. I also think that us implementing the system is different from just going from 10,000 to 50,000. I think I agree with Councilman Lohr about the procedures. I'm very well satisfied with the preparation and everything that's being made by the administration, and so I think we need to give them the opportunity to move forward in the manner in which they suggest to make things more efficiently. And as with everything else, if we're not satisfied after a year or so with the results, then we can come back to this body and rethink it. So I'd like to give them the opportunity to do something that they suggest to do.
Any more discussion? Councilman Lohr.
I guess just what was one of the kickers for me was just one of my frustrations, and I think a lot of people's frustrations, is how efficient government is, or how inefficient, and just the time it takes sometimes to get things done. But I think we set that trap up for ourselves sometimes. I mean, with situations like this, and with good intentions. But I think this will allow the government to perform more efficiently, get services to the people faster, but also still allow us the oversight and transparency we need to just feel like we are comfortable with it. And like Councilman Shakespeare said, if for whatever reason we're not happy, there are instances that come up. This can always be changed.
Mr. Chairman, one quick thing.
Councilman Lambert.
Yeah, I think, Chris, I agree with you somewhat, but if we got a time frame where a timeline on a particular firm that we need to hire, we can have a special meeting within a 48-hour notice and go ahead and move forward with this. So, I don't see any issue with that.
Any more discussion?
Councilman, can I get some clarification, please?
Yes, sir.
If there's an action to be taken on number one, there are 7 other items on this proposal that are efficiency measures. Are we suggesting that we do not want to do those as well? Because I need some guidance. Do we not want to do budget ordinances? Do we not want to report expenditures of $100,000? Do we not want to end the task order process that has caused many of the problems? I am proposing an extensive renovation of your financial process here. Are we only dealing with one matter? Please give me some guidance.
Councilman Valentine.
I would suggest we're dealing with one matter. Point is your obligation as administrator, as the CAO of this parish, to do all these things without having it written down on paper. I mean, I can't believe we're going to write down on paper what we're going to do to clarify something. The whole point of this, the whole crust of what we're voting on tonight is whether we go from $10,000 to $50,000. All this other stuff we ought to be doing anyway, not put it on paper.
No, Councilman, you should be doing them anyway, but you can't.
Correct.
Because
but you should be doing them.
No, sir.
You should be doing them for us.
I cannot do them if you do not authorize them to be done. Right now, the process for doing expenditures is not an ordinance. It's a budget impact analysis.
It doesn't matter whether it's in an ordinance form or budget. You as the administrator of Mr. Martinez as parish president should be doing these things without an ordinance. I mean, what you're asking for, with the cloud of all this other stuff on it, is to go from $10,000 to $50,000. That's simply what it is. Let's vote on it, move on.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Lambert.
Yeah, I would, in all fairness, a lot of the councilman was not at the finance meeting. Let's just table this and have another finance meeting, and let's clear the area if y'all don't have a problem with that. And
second that.
I've got a motion, I've got a second, and we're in discussion. Now, do you want to make a substitute?
That's what I'd like to do.
Motion by Councilman Lambert, second by Councilman Kent Shakespeare.
No.
Councilman Joseph.
Councilman Joseph, any discussion?
Yes,
Councilman Shakespeare.
I don't think it's going to change anybody's mind, and we can talk about this forever. People have decided whether they want it to be 10,000 and 50,000, and we need to vote on it, move on, and decide whether we want to go and restructure the way we do business.
Again, Councilman Shake Snyder, I'm trying to give each one of the councilmen here time to look this over. If we're in no rush, so I'm gonna leave it like that.
Councilman Kluart.
Mr. Grant.
Yes, sir.
Parish President Martinez. Is this going to hamper you for it to take one more look?
We'll continue to do business as we have.
Thank you, sir.
Any more discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. Next, we go to our committee reports. Chairman Todd Lambert, Personnel Committee.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had 3 interviews. The first one was Ms. Diette DeArmond for the East Ascension Parish Hospital Service District Board, and the board agreed on...
Motion by Councilman Thompson, second by Councilman Valentine. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries.
Also, we had Mr. Louis A. LeBlanc with the Industrial Development Board.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Lambert, second by Councilman Kluart. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries.
We also had Mr. Victor Pedisco, Ascension Parish Waterworks District Number 2 Board.
Councilman Thompson makes a motion, second by Councilman Valentine. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that's the end of my report.
Thank you, sir. Councilman, we will pass on item 9, general business. Item 10, condemnation, 38522 Highway 74, Mr. Laverne Bourgeois.
Thank you, Mr. Council President and members of President Martinez. I'm here tonight to ask direction on the condemnation proceeding for the properties located at 38522 Highway 74. You have the list of sequence of events which took approximately 20 months to this time to evaluate this home, look at complaints, do diplomacies, come to this point that we have recommended to the council to take this building out. I'm here tonight to get direction.
I make this motion.
Motion by Councilman Lambert, second by Councilman Valentine. Discussion, Councilman Kluart.
Yes.
Yes. Do we have any response out of the petitioner that you...
If it's the wish of the chairman, tonight, if anybody's here to represent, we hadn't heard anything since we sent the notice.
Thank you, sir. That's all I want to know.
Any more discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Bourgeois.
Chairman,
Councilman Valentine.
I'd just like to compliment Mr. Laverne Bourgeois and this process that we've had for the last few years. It's worked well. This is an eyesore, and we're glad we get it done.
Get them all out. All right, Mr. Bourgeois. Thank you, sir. Item 11, resolution FY 2008-2009 Community Water Enrichment Fund. Councilman Adrian Thompson and Mrs. Martha Collins.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, Councilman Thompson. This is some new monies that were appropriated to the legislature in 2008. These funds were designed to provide local governments with assistance in water projects for the purpose of rehabilitating, improving, or construction projects for community water systems to provide safe and clean drinking water. It's similar to the LAGAP plan where it's allocated by municipalities, towns, and parishes, and we'll be applying for $100,000.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Schicksnauer, second by Councilman Thompson. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries.
Thank you,
The
Martha.
resolution is to authorize Parish President Martinez to sign all documents and Ms. Gwen LeBlanc for the financial. I just wanted to make sure we had that.
Okay, that's what I thought you sent you on that.
Next item is our noise ordinance variance implementation schedule. I have 5 speakers. Mr. Joe Nasser is first. Mr. Joe Nasser.
You want the lady to speak first?
Ladies first. Sandy. Call Sandy.
All right, Miss Sandra Hack. Yeah, what's all this first, second? Yeah, I've got it.
Skip. You want to take a second?
No, we got too many agendas here. Ma'am?
Yes.
I will get to you in just a second, please. We've got another item on 11A. We have approval of a contract between A&T Equipment Company, LLC, and the Parish of Ascension for debris removal in Dawsonville. Mr. Grant, please.
Yes. The purpose of this contract was, as you recall, about a month and a half ago, there was excess debris on the Batcher in Dawsonville, and we had to remove it in an emergency condition.
So moved, Mr. President.
Second.
We got a motion by Councilman Joseph, second by Councilman Thompson. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries.
They did a good job. Thank you.
Okay, item 12, noise ordinance variance. Ms. Sandra Hack, please. Thank you, Ms. Hack.
I am Sandra Babin Hack. I live at 12369 Jim Babin Road. I've lived there for 34 years. I am here this evening to address this council in regards to an industrial business located in my residential area. I will also be speaking for four other family members. Our concerns are for the safe and peaceful environment in which we live and rear our children. Living close to industrial businesses that entail loud noises such as banging of metal, sandblasting, painting, and welding of large vessels, piping, and other industrial products causes sleep problems and makes it hard to enjoy outdoor activities, not to mention the unknown hazards. Other concerns are the materials put in our air, ground, and water. A ditch runs in front of our home and stays full of water because of these businesses. Our children and grandchildren and their friends play in our property, and part of the property borders this business. It is littered with items that are haphazardly thrown over the fence by employees of this business. We recently cleaned this area and filled a BFI trash can, which with such things as pipe, flanges, parts of machineries, vodka and gin bottles, and other unknown items. I have taken away from our children dangerous items found by this fence: aerosol cans, used meters, gauges, pipes, 5-gallon buckets, butane burners, torch, and other unknown items. I have seen big vessels such as tanks being brought onto this site for cleaning, sandblasting, welding, or painting. This is what we need answered. How can, or is it even possible, to make this business accountable for items brought into this business? My concerns are the chemicals being brought into our residential environment. Are they hazard to the air, ground, and water? Is it dangerous for our children to live and play around this kind of business? When sandblasting metal, where does the metal go? Suppose it rains, where does it wash into our ditches, our yards? How can I be assured that this business is operating up to code? And I'd like to have a tangible reassurance. Who or what agency can we call to report different
Thank you, ma'am.
concern?
Thank you.
Excuse me?
Mr. Chairman, she is talking for several family members, so I'd like to yield
I'm
her
talking
more
for
time.
4 different family
Okay,
members.
ma'am, I'll give you another minute. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, let me just end by saying that I want to know if this is the right place to be to ask these questions. Or where do I go for the answers? I'm dealing with a residential area that is filled with a lot of noise at times. On the weekends, it's bad. I have children that play near this place, and I know vessels are brought in with chemicals. I just want answers. I just want to know what you can do for me. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Mrs. Linda Young.
Hello. I live across the street from American Fabrication. I haven't seen any changes made. The noise is still unbearable. The storms we've had this past month, I've been sitting in my house waiting for something to hit me because there's no barrier between us, and there's loose debris. The sand is still sitting over there blowing over on everyone's house. It's not covered, and if it was covered, it's blowed off a lot of times. I watched them bring the truck out of there with the whatever they were working on last month. I was standing at my door. They could barely get it out on that road because the road's too small. They came over on my land and left 3-4 big ruts in my property. They saw me watching them. They came over and offered to fix it, and they brought some dirt and put it in there. But this happens all the time. They had to take down part of their fence to get that truck out, and then they knocked the stop sign over. And they blocked my driveway for a long time because they couldn't get it out. The road wasn't meant for the kind of trucks they're bringing in and out of there. And we got a lot of children in our neighborhood now, again, with the noise that's going on over there when they're playing outside this summer. We should be able to hear them and know if they're in trouble. We can't hear them now. We're not going to hear them when they're working over there like that. All hours of the night, all day. We need a sound barrier. We need that sand taken care of where it's contaminated and it's blowing over on us and our children. We need them to put that barrier up that they said that we need. We need it. And for the sound and for the debris that's over there that can blow over on us when we have another tornado come through. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Next, I have Dale Babin. Right. Dale Babin, please. Okay. I have Terry Babin. I was just told by our legal, keep your discussion, please, to the noise ordinance. Keep it to the ordinance. Thank you.
Okay, I know that Wesley was granted the variance. He did finish with his job in the time that he was supposed to. As a matter of fact, I think he finished a little bit earlier, and so he's not working on weekends or anything anymore that I know of. He didn't work last weekend. But the sandblasting is still bad during the days, and the sand is a major problem. I know that's not in the noise ordinance, but the sand is a major problem. The last time we were here, he said we need to take into consideration the price of having everything done with the company, that it is very pricey and everything, and I do understand that, and we do consider that. But if the price was so high, when they started with the sand and everything, he had a pile of sand this high. Now he has 3 piles of sand this high. He should have tended to it at the beginning, and it wouldn't have been so high as it is now, because we have been fighting over this for 20 years now. It's not like we just started last year, you know. And when the hurricanes came in, we not only worry about the hurricanes and the trees and everything, we have to worry about everything that's over there. And the tornado that we had last week, of anything flying toward our house, toward us, our vehicles or anything like that. There's nothing tied down I do think the fence would be a great asset. I really appreciate if he would even start on the fence. And that's all I have to say. I thank y'all for listening to us. I just hope something gets done. And I'm sorry for the price of everything, but if it would have been done at the beginning and not waited till the last minute, the price wouldn't be so high. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And make sure I'm not leaving anybody out. Mr. Joe Nasser, I believe it's up to you.
Good evening, gentlemen, council, everybody. I appreciate everything that y'all been doing, listening to us, and I spoke with Wesley last week, and we had a good conversation. He's promising me that he's going to do a lot of things, and we're just here. That's why we're here, to hold him accountable. And the noise is so bad, like today and yesterday. I left my home. It's not the first time. I've done it many times. It's bad when you got to leave home because the noise is so bad. In the variance that the council gave a while back, if I understand it right, the variance was for working hours. That's what it was applied for, and I think that's what you guys voted on. I think Wesley did try. He put the art gouging way on the other side of the shop as far as he could from us. Now maybe he put it on somebody else. I don't know. I'm talking. But Wesley's not there all the time. And I'm not taking up for him or whatever. Somebody should be in charge. But they didn't cover the area where they were art gouging. They didn't drop any tarps. Maybe they were supposed to. It was like 4th of July out there, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes. It woke us up. It woke people up in the neighborhood. I'm not calling names. That say they never had been woke up before by the noise. So it's the same old story. But something needs to be done. And if you guys would just come out there and visit when it's going on. I got nothing against Wesley having a business and making money. I like Wesley. He's got to take care of his business. That's all I'm asking. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nasser.
Yeah, I just want to let Dale Babin know that if you don't want to speak, you can give your time to someone else if you want to.
Councilman Clewart, this is under your head.
Yes.
Do you have any comments?
Yeah, I just want to make everybody clear that the variance to this organization for a short time for his need was given to him and approved by the council, and that's over with right now. Wesley understands that. That's gone, okay? But it was given under the stipulation that you come forward with a plan, present a plan this night with what you plan to do for the noise and the words I use for being a good neighbor. What you're going to do to be a good neighbor to this community. That I think everybody that spoke, nobody said that they hated you or hated your organization, anything like that. And so if you want to come up, we've got a copy of it, and see what I'd like for you to review it.
Okay, sir. Mr. Babin.
First of all, the barrier fence that we talked about putting along the westernmost boundary of the property, and then consequently along the southern boundary along Dora Road. We said we would start as soon as the parish performed the work on the drainage project.
Yeah, and you have a drainage problem on between you and Mr. Nasser that will be started Monday.
Monday is
and
what
they
I
will
was told
pull
today
those corroded culverts out of there and take those little bush trees out and clean that.
As soon as that's complete and moved, I'll get Dottie in there so that I can make sure that I don't hit any lines or whatever, and start putting my fence posts down. The fence project should be complete within 3 to 4 weeks after the parish is out of the way. So my estimate was by the end of May, we should have a 10-foot barrier fence along both those boundaries,
Okay.
which is roughly 240 feet, linear feet of fence. The next issue that we talked about was an acoustical enclosure around the air compressor. I procured some materials. I still have some to do, and erect the wall around it. And I propose that I'm going to do that by the end of August, if not sooner. One of the other items that we talked about doing was putting some acoustical foam, some noise absorbent foam on the walls of our building to help reduce the noise emissions from within the building. One of the biggest areas that, after some observance with Mr. Joe, the westernmost boundary of our sandblast area, a lot of noise comes through there, so that's going to be the first target. And I'm saying that I'll have that wall done with the acoustical foam by the mid of October. Now, I've had some difficulty in getting a contractor that will do this particular product. I've got a company out of West Monroe that's telling me right now that they can do it. So you can imagine it's pretty costly for someone to come that far to do it, but I haven't found anyone local. The other part we had talked about doing was putting a 10-foot of wall down from the eave of our building along the southern wall of our main fab shop. That will be done by the end of the year. And then the acoustical foam that we want to put on the southern wall that is in the blast area, I'll have that done by mid next year. And then the 10-foot sections, I'll have that done by the end of the year with the acoustical foam. So that's the schedule that I've proposed.
Let me ask you, is basically that trying to make sure that we got everything that we talked about. Looking at your schedule, you should be able to start probably, like I said, within a week. It shouldn't take them long to get that ditch cleaned out. And
weather permitting, I'm sure.
And you can make your dotty call a couple days early. Make sure you're online with that.
We have to get all those trees out of the way first before we get dotty in there. That's the main reason I'm going to wait.
Now, what I want to ask you is something that I've talked to Mr. Nass about and I've talked to you about, is basically for us, the acoustical barriers and the fence. You had said that you'd got an independent consultant out to take some sound readings, okay?
That was in the initial letter that I wrote.
What we spoke about here lately is that there's a good chance people in the neighborhood are not going to believe, or basically not necessarily believe, but not necessarily trust what you do or somebody that you hire, okay, thinking that they may be persuaded in your favor because you paid for them, all right? And what you had requested, you wanted to know if there's anything that we could do to certify the readings that were taken.
Correct.
I haven't come to any kind of solution on that yet. And so since you came forward first of all for noise ordinance variance, based on the fact that somebody had a complaint, and and law enforcement did feel that it was within the out of the ordinance that they needed to talk to you about it and shut you down.
Yeah.
So I see this coming back up, okay? What I'm asking you to do is we'll continue. There may be a suggestion by somebody every now and then. We get an independent party that can take a look at stuff.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is, before any implements are in place, I'm going to have the acoustical consultant come out and do a full-blown outlay of the property and readings around it in different areas. I've talked with Mr. Nassar and gotten permission to take some readings over on his property between our building and his house, which seems to be a big area of concern. So I would like to have those readings before we put any implements in place, and then after the implements are in place, have another set of readings done so that we can accurately measure how much we've reduced the noise.
Well, I would just like to ask the parish administration, you got any suggestions? We got anybody that possibly, let's don't make it an elected official, okay? So let's try to find somebody that's professional and somebody that's independent.
Maybe you can speak with some of the neighbors around and see what their thoughts on the situation are.
I sure will.
Because the acoustical consultant that I plan to hire for this is his field of work. He is a professional in that field, and he will provide a legitimate set of results that are bound by his company, and he has to say that this is what was accurately measured to the best of his ability. So if no one has any problems with that, that's what I plan to do. Now, if someone contests that, the validity of the results, then that part of it needs to be addressed now before we spend a bunch of money.
Well, that's what I'm asking right now. Do you have a feasibility of what you planned right here? What kind of results do you expect to achieve from what you planned? That's what I'm asking you right now. I
haven't gotten that information from the consultant.
Okay. Thanks.
But these are the recommendations that he made as a result of an initial visit.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yeah, Mr. Babin, you have a 10-foot fence on the west side. What about the southern side of the property where Miss Young's house is directly in front of you that she is taking a beating from?
That's the side that I said is the southern boundary of our property along Dora Road. It's about 120 feet or so.
Is it going to have a fence on it? I know you say you have a fence on the building that shows.
Right. It's going to go from, I'm not sure, I should have maybe brought a sketch of how I plan to do it.
It's going to go there.
So it's going to turn and go down the southern Dora Road?
That'll be the second phase of the fence project. The first one will begin next week.
Okay.
And that second phase will follow right after the first one. So there's no interruption in time there.
But I guess still in all right now, it was a temporary variance, so the variance is off right now. So if you do break the noise ordinance, I'm sure that you're going to get enforced by the the police department to enforce that law, because it is law. So you're going to have to keep it under control.
We'll do the very best we can.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Yes,
Councilman Thompson.
You have a timeline on when you planning on finishing all the improvements that you're going to make?
These set of improvements that have been recommended, you see in this paper that we have here, is by the end of next year.
By the end of next year?
Yes, sir. The bulk of it will be done this year.
The fence that you plan to put up, is it approved noise barrier?
It is what the acoustical consultant recommended.
Councilman Valentine.
Thank you, Chairman. Wesley, we certainly commend you for doing what you've done so far, but we certainly want to encourage you to do more. To coexist in a situation where, unfortunately, planning and zoning wasn't established until after the residents and everything was evolved around you, or you evolved with the residents around you. There are examples in this parish where they coexist and they do it in a great and orderly fashion, such as in Mr. Lohr's district with Volk's Construction. I can remember when Volk's Construction, similar business to, actually a big business, as you may well know, similar to does the work that you do, used to be out there by themselves, only with the church. Now they have a school next door to them, have a pharmacy across the street, law offices, and everything else. And very seldom, if any, have I heard of any complaints lately. Of course, it's Mr. Lohr's district. He may know more about that situation and all, but I do know Mr. Laverne King very well, and I know he's done everything in his power, starting back when Old Grove Primary was built, to make sure that he silenced all of his loud equipment. So I would encourage you to try to do as much as you can, because simply breaking the law, which is what you're doing when you break the ordinance, even though it's a noise ordinance, it's the law. We just can't, the people can't tolerate. And so this council can only encourage you to do it. because the sheriff is the one that's going to enforce it. And that situation must be alleviated. So we appreciate what you've done so far. The question I have, did you give your residents a copy of your plan?
No, sir, I haven't.
I would appreciate if you give the residents a copy of your plan.
That's no problem. I have plenty.
Councilman Kluart.
Yeah, I just want to, given the suggestion that I have no problem talking to the residents. Y'all agree? We'll find somebody within that neighborhood that will certify those readings that walk that with your noise professional. All right? And like I said, I know we had a little thing from legal about don't talk about this, let's keep it to the noise, everything else. But you know the issues that you have with your neighborhood without naming them. Do whatever you can.
We're planning to address that in part of our other implements, that will additional measures that will coincide with the noise. I've talked to Mr. Nasser about that as well.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Any more discussion, Councilman? Thank you, Mr. Babin. Item 13, 6-month contract extension with the West Ascension Recreation Commission. Councilman Kent Shakespeare.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Basically, what we've had is that the contract is up on West Ascension Recreation at the new year, and we're going into this year already in April without a contract, and people are getting to the point where they've been doing assigned tasks and not getting paid. And so since the new issues have come up with the possibility of the parish purchasing the property in that area to continue recreation. President Martinez did some negotiations, and I'll represent the parish. He has suggested that we just extend the current contract for 6 months to allow him to sort through all the different issues that we have right now, and then we can decide what direction we're going to head in.
Motion to approve the 6 months.
Motion by Councilman Jones, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any discussion?
Just real quick, just so everyone's
Councilman
clear.
Lohr.
Yeah, and I talked about this with Councilman Shakespeare this morning, but just so everyone's clear, it's 6 months from January 1.
From January 1st.
Not from this point forward.
Any more discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. We're moving our plan and zoning recommendations. Mr. Lance Brock.
Zoning Review ID 1977.08, Tract A2A2 of the Industrial Material Concrete property for Marion Cove Enterprise, LLC, located on the west side of Airline Highway, approximately 900 feet south of Perkins Road, to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium-intensity residential to mixed use. The recommendation from the Zoning Commission was to accept the request.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Second by Councilman Benny Johnson. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries.
Zoning Review ID 1976.08, located on the west side of LA Highway 44, approximately 1,700 feet north of Germany Road, to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium-intensity residential to small plan unit development, SPUD. The recommendation from the Zoning Commission was to accept the recommendation.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cullen. Second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries.
Number 16 is historical site overlay, and it's to encourage and ensure the preservation of historic sites in Ascension Parish by ensuring that surrounding developments is compatible and does not pose an adverse effect on the historic sites. And this is for review only. The next one is a cross-connection of commercial parcels. It's to amend the supplement of Ascension Parish Development Code, Section 17.0202D, entitled Off-Street Parking. And this is for review only also.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Wait, Suzanne. But it's not 20, it's not 21.
That's what it is they're talking about. So,
Right, 20? Okay. Yeah, on the other side. Okay, public hearing and ordinances. Mrs. Manda?
Purpose, to amend the building department's fee schedule. Whereas the Ascension Parish Council has created by ordinance in accordance with the Home Rule Charter the fee schedule for building and building-related permits, and whereas the Ascension Parish Council recognizes the need to amend the fee schedule to reflect the current value of services provided, be it ordained that the Ascension Parish Council in lawful session hereby amends the ordinance establishing a fee schedule for the building department in accordance with the list below. Building construction permit fees. Commercial construction. The acceptance of bid plus 10% will be used to determine the valuation of a commercial building. The schedule of permit fees for commercial construction is as follows. For valuations up to $100,000, the fee shall be $3 per $1,000. For valuations from $100,000 through $500,000, the fee shall be $300 plus $2 per $1,000 above $100,000. For valuations above $500,000, the fee shall be $1,100 plus $1.50 per $1,000 above $500,000. Minimum permit fee will be $25. Residential construction. A $75 per square foot of living area cost will be applied to determine the valuation of a new residence. A $12 per square foot of total area will be used to determine the valuation of a new storage building, garage, or shed. The schedule of permit fees for residential construction is as follows. For valuations up to $100,000, the fee shall be $1.50 per $1,000. For valuations from $100,000 through $500,000, the fee shall be $150 plus $1 per $1,000 above $100,000. Minimum permit fee will be $25. Demolition permit, $60. Culvert permit, commercial only, $50. House moving permit, $100 the first load, $50 the second load. After-hours house inspection, $150 daily, $200 for weekend day, $250 for holiday. Reinspection fee, $30, $50 after second, $100 after third. Occupancy permit, residential, $25, commercial, $45. Contractor's license, builder, electrician, plumber, and mechanical, $150 initial fee, $100 thereafter. Residential and framers, house movers, $100 initial fee, $100 thereafter. Plan review, residential dwelling only, $40. Commercial, half a building permit with a $50 minimum. Trailer parks, annual permit fees up to 11 units, $200. 12 units and more, $400. Inspections, third trip and thereafter, $50. Electrical permit fees, temporary meter, $20. Service entrance charge through 100 amps, $12. Through 200 amps, $14. Through 400 amps, $16. Through 600 amp, $18. Through 800 amps, $20. Through 1,000 amps, 22, through 1,200, 24, through 1,400, 26, through 1,600, 30, through 1,800, 34, through 2,000, 38, through 2,400 amps, $42, through 2,500 amps, $46. Change out, $25. Circuit charge, each 120 volt circuit, $4. Each 240 volt circuit, $7. Motor installation charge, fractional, 1 horsepower, $3, 1 through 2, $6, 3 through 6, $8, 7 plus through 14, $10, 15 through 29, $12, 30 through 100, $16, 101 through 249, $20, 250 and above, $24. Temporary cut-in, residential, $20, commercial, $40, rebuild service, $20, upgrading the service, $20, relocating service, $20, minimum permit, $25. Plumbing permit fees. New plumbing work. Fixtures adds first, fixture bathtub, fixture hot water heater, fixture lavatory, fixture shower bath, fixture sink, fixture water closet, fixture washing machine, fixture AC drain, fixture gas, fixture urinal, fixture floor drain, $7 each. Fixture drinking fountain, fixture service sink, fixture bidet, fixture dishwasher, fixture garbage disposal, fixture roof drain, fixture more than 100, $7 each, with the exception of the drinking fountain, which is $6. Receptors, $7. Swimming pool, $42. Sewer tie-in, $7. Ascension Parish owned sewer facility tie-in fee, $500. Fire protection system, automatic sprinklers, First 20 heads, $15. Additional heads, 21 to 100, 50 cents each. Additional heads, 101 or more, 25 cents each. Standpipes, $25. Heating unit, $7. Minimum permit, $25. Mechanical permit fees, air conditioning, 0 to 4 plus tons, $45. 5 to 9 plus tons, $65. 10 tons or over, $8 per ton. Refrigeration, 0 to 4 horsepower, $45. 5 to 9 horsepower, $60. 10 horsepower or over, $7 per horsepower. Coolers, freezers, $45. Chiller, cooler, heating coil, $14. Hoods, $45. Commercial clothes dryer, $31. Incinerator, $45. Boilers, $65. Heater unit, $31. Duct heaters. Heater duct less than 25 tons, $27. Heater duct greater than 25 tons, $8. Duct alterations, $27. Cooling towers, $85. Mobile home commercial, $22. SFR, $20. Fire extinguishing system, $45. Change out 0 to 4, $45. 5 to 9 tons, $65. Greater than 10, $8. Heater only, $31. Condenser only, $31. Coil only, $31. Minimum permit, $25.
I'll need a motion to open public hearing, please.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Kluart. I have two speakers. Mr. Roy Domingue, be first, please.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you. The last time we met in the chambers here, we had asked for permission, if you would table what was proposed, that we'd have the opportunity to be able to meet with the permit administration and review the fees that were being proposed, which we did, and we are grateful. Let me say, first of all, that on behalf of the Capital Region Builders Association, there was a glitch with our server. We were down with several emails that were coming in, and we will take the blame that permit office was in contact with us in good faith, and unfortunately, we didn't get it through our office, and that's why some phone calls started at the last minute. It was like, wait a minute, where y'all at? Where y'all at? So we appreciate y'all giving us this opportunity. We do feel like we've hammered out some good numbers that we understand you got to look at on your end, we're looking at on our end. So we do feel comfortable with that. I do know that there has been some additional concern as to where this thing might go as far as the commercial numbers. I know that has been addressed. We were hoping that the clarification in this is not that the commercial fee is noted just as a plan review fee. There's a lot more that goes into evaluating what's coming on as a commercial project in differential to, of course, a residential. And so it's just not plan review. There's a lot more work that your department is actually doing, which helps to justify why the fee is what it is, to help ascertain the time that is spent to bring that about. Okay? There is one bit of caution that we do have, and the hammering of that has not been worked out quite yet, and it's not really spelled out in any particular way. But I'll give you the example. Let's just say that I come to you as a commercial contractor, and I'm asking to permit and approve, say, a 10,000 square foot building, which in that building, say it's a strip center. Okay, it could have multiple tenants. I don't build that building out. You've seen that go up. We build a shell. Okay, and then later a person comes in and say they want to use this building as a restaurant, and they want to do a build out inside of it. What we started seeing here is possibly the double layering of the fee, and the fact that the contractor who goes in at first, the value of the building is a certain amount. The cost of the permit is based on such. Then we get an infill, and we have another appraisal, we have another cost evaluation, which that permit is then based on. Okay? I think there's some clarification that we could look at there. But otherwise, in good faith, gentlemen, I think that we've got something that we can work together. I do want to say that on behalf of the builders in this parish, as well as those who are coming in, we appreciate being at the table and being a part. And we want you to know that if there's questions or anything that comes up, we want you to ask us. We want to do what we can to grow together and make it good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker will be Mr. Randy Gautreaux.
Bill, Councilman, Parish President Martinez, I appreciate the time. I was fortunate to be in Mr. Bourgeois' office this afternoon when I learned of this plan review fee which was being proposed. And I apologize on behalf of the commercial contractors. Maybe we're not keeping up with our business, but I will tonight publicly offer my service as a general manager of a commercial contractor that's been in Ascension Parish for over 37 years. I would appreciate being contacted by the parish official who is proposing these. We have the opportunity to state how some of our commercial contractors feel about these things. I'm not sure what committee Mr. Domain represents. I'm not sure how many commercial contractors are on that committee. But I'm going to give you an example here of what is about to happen, or what is recommended. I have a permit here that I took out with Ascension Parish on June 4th to construct a flex space building, is what we call it on Highway 44, approximately a couple hundred yards south of the interstate. The permit was for $3,669. That's the check I wrote out to Ascension Parish, which included plan review, inspections by your inspection department, of which they probably came out on that project a total of 4 or 5 times to inspect foundation. This is a shell. It's not a complete build-out. We lease it out as tenants become available. So there's probably 5 visits. I mean, I'm guessing, okay, could be 7, could be 4, made by a parish official, because they inspected the foundation and 1 plumbing truck line. They came back and did a framing inspection. There's no mechanical in the site. There's no electrical in the site. Now, this is a little bit different. It's a shell. It's not a complete build-out. But what the parish is proposing now is if I go in today with a similar building of that size, I'm going to pay $3,669, okay? What they're proposing is to charge me an additional 1/2 of the building permit, $1,834 to review my shell plans, which may take, I'm not, Laverne, he could maybe tell you this if you ask him, how long will it take to review those set of plans that I submitted? 1 hour? 2 hours? 8 hours? 2 days? $1,834. I think it's excessive, okay? I do believe in paying a person that sits down at that desk to review those plans. Nobody goes to work for nothing. The parish has a cost involved. Your cost for years has been 0. So you're telling me when this ordinance is passed, I'm going to go from paying 0 to a plan review for 1/2 of the permit fee. Now that building was a $2 million building. As you all know, $1 million doesn't build a lot nowadays anymore. I'll just give you for instance, that was a $2 million building. You're going to require me to pay $1,834 for a plan review on that same building if I build it when this ordinance passes. Let's do $1 million building, okay? $1 million building, if I did the figures right, it's $1,100 set fee. It's $750 for $1.50 per thousand for the extra 500,000. Permit fee is $1,850. The plan review fee that will be added onto that is $925, half of the building permit. From 0 review fee to $925 on that particular plan, okay? And like I said, I agree that there should be some compensation. There should be a charge. East Baton Rouge charges. You know, I've heard that they charge 4 cents per square foot. I bill in East Baton Rouge every day, okay? And I pay the permit fee, but it's always been there, okay? But they didn't go from 0 to $1,000 to review a set of plans. Over 50 years, they might have went from $50 to whatever they are today. It didn't start out at 0 and jump like this. It's a pretty absorbent increase. I'm going to give you, for instance, Motiva, I think, just built a big administration building in Ascension Parish. I understand this. I'm not quoting facts. This is hearsay, that their building permit was $16,000. Their building permit. Okay? If this ordinance passed, they're going to pay $8,000 to have their plan reviewed. Okay? So just take those numbers in effect. I have no problem with a reasonable review fee. I have no problem with a progressive fee over the next numerous years to get it to a fair fee. I do have a problem with going from 0 to this number that's been proposed. And, like I said, we probably need to start a little commercial contractors board in Ascension Parish where we maybe can keep up with some of this stuff. But the parish has been very fair and easy to work with. On our project on 44, we had some obstacles to overcome. And here publicly tonight, I'd like to thank Parish President Martinez, Vern Bourgeois, Lance Brock, at the time, Mr. Bob Turner, worked with us. Common sense issues, we got it worked out. It was some large obstacles. Pipelines, retention ponds. I gave up 4 acres of prime property to build a retention pond on this site. 4 acres. A 4-acre retention pond. But we did it. Okay, and it's been approved. We work with the parish. All I'm asking is consider, where you're going from and what you're going to in a matter of whenever this ordinance is approved. And I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have any concerning commercial construction. I'm not an expert by any sense of means, but I just think it's a little excessive. I'd be more than willing to serve on any committee to work out a reasonable fee for these plans, because you should charge for somebody's time to review a set of plans. But bear in mind, Mr. Domain said there's more involved. There is more involved. There's drainage and et cetera, but take my plans, for instance, there was drainage and stuff involved, so there's more time involved. But I just wanted to give you a real life scenario what's going to happen. If I build this building, when this is passed, I paid $3,300 for the permit. It's going to cost me $1,800 additional to have for the plan review. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And once again, if I can assist in any of these commercial ordinances in the future, I'll be more than happy at any time. I'm very available. Just give me a call. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. I need a motion motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Kluart.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Again, Mr. Bourgeois, the Ascension Parish Board of Contractors we have, what came out of that?
Mr. Councilman, this proposal was passed through that board, and there was no objection. They looked at it, no comments were made. It was just sent on as was. What Randy said up here and said tonight is actually the truth. There was nobody representing to the contractor's residential board. We're talking about the home builders on commercial. I've contacted a few councilmen and said, look, they probably have some issues here on that. I think some of you guys might have a resolution tonight, and if it's your wishes, we can amend that to make that more adaptable to what from 0 to the cost that would be much less than what Mr. Gautreaux just mentioned. We have no problem with that. It's a proposal, and I think we started out with that at the Finance Committee with that information shared to y'all, that cost on plan review, because what happened was when it was put together, it was patterned off of our sister parishes and their plan review. This Baton Rouge charges, I want to say, is 4 cents a square foot. And you put it's pretty compatible until you get to a larger scale, and then it walks away. So we have no problem with it being amended tonight, if you can, to adjust it to a lesser cost. And I think we discussed this a little bit earlier this week and through the month that we passed. So that's what I recommend if possible to do.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I was hoping we'd have all this ironed out. I really have a problem with residential and commercial now, considering what times we in. I mean, these fellas here, it's hard to get out there and get these buildings and homes built. So, but if we can come up with something here, I don't have a problem with that with the commercial end.
Councilman Kluart.
Yeah, Thank you, Laverne, because I believe I was one of them that you talked to, and I had several commercial contractors give me a call, and we discussed it. And I also talked to several residential. I think that from what I'm hearing, that everybody feels that the people that do work should get paid for it, and that if we've got something that hadn't been going up in a long time, then we need to kind of get with the times, because we definitely within your organization, your staff, we want qualified people. We want people looking at plans that know what they're looking at. We know when we get into commercial, we got other things with the certified engineer drawings, fire marshal reviews, and a bunch of things. And so it gets a little bit more complicated, but I think that generally the consensus I was getting is that we could basically on that plan review fee was one of the main things that I got the question on. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Anybody else? Councilman Shakespeare.
Are we on the ordinance now?
No. I will need a motion to move the ordinance. Councilman Todd Lambert.
I would like to second it, but with discussion.
Yeah, we're going to get to. I got to have a second to get it discussed.
First thing, I talked with Mr. Bourgeois, and the reason we delayed this, ordinance was because of the commercial. I brought it up at the last meeting, trying to, to revise this, and I'm going to make an amended motion that we go with a flat rate for now, and maybe like Randy said, that we could at a later date increase it. Go with $50 for residential and $150 for commercial flat fee, and let's start from that point instead of going from 0 to.
We have a amended motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Randy Kluart. Any discussion?
Yes.
Councilman Valentine.
We voting on the amendment?
We're voting on the amendment.
Question for council. Ms. Lindsay. I noticed Mr. Domain said we hammered out some discussion. Did we change anything in the schedule fee?
Yes. I think in your packet there is there are two ordinances. If you flip through, there's six pages, and you can see with amendment.
Hey, gentlemen, this is a technicality, but what we did last time, we read the ordinance. We had the public hearing. We extended the public hearing. Then we came back and we read a different fee schedule and a different ordinance. What we should be doing is everything that was changed has to be amended. Otherwise, everything we did tonight is up for litigation.
I believe we noticed this, though. Suzanne, didn't we notice this?
Hey, you counsel. If you say it's all right, if somebody says...
Well, in the public hearing, when you all voted on this at our last meeting, it was tabled.
We extended. What we did was vote to extend the public hearing of the ordinance you read last time.
Right, but you can amend any ordinance prior to adoption, and that's all we're doing.
Anything that's changed on what you read a while ago needs to be done as an amendment.
There was no ordinance adopted, though, so we were amending a proposed...
We already introduced it. We already made a motion on it. You read it, in other words, officially read
right,
it,
I understand.
which is what required by the charter.
Right, but you can amend an ordinance at an introduction or prior to adoption, and I believe that's all that's going on here.
Okay. You say so. I believe we're good.
Okay, Councilman, any more discussion?
Yes.
Councilman Shakespeare.
The only thing I would like to add is that we would put in there that it would be an automatic review at 1 year's period of time so that we can adjust things if we have any problems.
That's good. That, Councilman Lambert. Any more discussion? Any objection? Ordinance is adopted as amended.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
At a previous time I came up, you guys mentioned about the great job we've been doing with condemned homes. I want to extend that thank you to Mr. Richard Throckmorton and Marcy Shivers, because they're the people that really hit the trenches and do the job for us. Yeah. I'm up here just passing the buck.
Oh, man, we appreciate your comments, Laverne. Thank you. Y'all have a very good team. Thank you. Councilman, we will, before we go into executive session, Mr. Gyro, I'd like to recognize him from our Parish School Board. I'll need a motion for executive session, please.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cluard, second by Councilman Benny Johnson. Catherine Moore versus Ralph Bureau, Ascension Parish docket 86,725, Division C, summary of litigation and discussion of settlement offer. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman Joseph.
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Lloyd.
Yes.
Councilman Chestnut.
Yes.
Councilman Thompson.
Yes.
Councilman Valentine.
Yes.
Motion to reconvene. I second that.
We have a motion to reconvene. Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Dennis Cullen. Councilman Cluard.
I'd like to make a motion to allow Parish Legal Counsel to arbitrate the settlement that we just authorized.
Have a motion by Councilman Cluard, second by Councilman Valentine. Any discussion, any objection? Motion carries. Mr. Councilman Todd Lambert.
Motion adjourned, Mr. Chairman. Okay.